All right, everyone. You know me. When I do these, I like to set up so that you guys know what you're going to get into. This one, not so much. There'll be a bunch of updates on things that I've got going on right now. Couple of personal things here. I'm my Etsy store, 3D LD photography, has checkers available if anybody's interested in those. Rather than going with the traditional type of checker, I have some three-dimensional checkers in there. They actually have to have their own base to sit on because they can't stack one on top of the other, but I wanted to try something different. In addition, I also taken up streaming on Twitch. I do it twice a week on Fridays and Saturday nights, playing Pragmata for one, and doing some Once Human stuff for the other. So if you're interested in either of those games, go take a look. I've got to get the clips up in other places. That's the other thing when you're doing any of this stuff. Twitch doesn't do any real advertising, so you've got to post clips everywhere so people know that you're doing this stuff. Back to home stuff. Still got to haul the old water heater out of the house. It is a little on the heavy side, probably got sediment sitting in the bottom. I have a well that goes down 300 feet into an underground river, but even with that, we get lime that comes up with that. And the unfortunate part of having lime in the water is it scales. So it's easy to take off. A little bit of vinegar takes it right off, which is great. Downside is you got to get to it, and the hot water heater is not that easy to clean out. When I switch over to the new tankless system, I got the rig for it that actually has a cutoff on both the in and the out so that you can switch it over to another set of pipes and you can flush the system that way. So I can turn off the water coming into it, flip the outflow over so I can drain it, and then I can pump vinegar through the system to help me descale it. So that ought to be a relatively easy thing to do. And of course, anytime you do something like that, once you get it done, you've got to turn on the pipes for a while, let it flush out through the system, not only just the vinegar, but to get any air out of the system that might have been introduced by what you're doing before you turn them back on again. The interesting thing about this is it requires 3 40 amp circuit breakers. So it's got 3 lines going out of the box into 3 40 amp circuit breakers because of the amount of power required for it. Now, I'm not sure. I might be able to come up with some numbers. We'll have to see because I haven't been using the hot water heater, obviously. So I can see what my averages have changed out to be for power usage. And then we'll see how it goes here. It's going to be the main hot water for the house. I want to get a small one for the kitchen, but in order to do that, there's a bunch of work I have to do in order to put it in place. Anyway, this will be the hot water for the house. But you're talking about a shower for me once a day, typically, and don't usually do 2. That's why I say typically. And it'll be the hot water I clean with if I need hot water. So we'll see how it won't be a big usage of it. So if you're looking to see like what it would be for a family, you could probably scale it up, but I'm just not sure that that's going to be appropriate. This weekend looks like we should have good weather here in Bennington. So I have 2 boxes to put out to handle the setup for those solar panels. If you remember, both solar panels have actuators on it. They're completely different actuators. A pair of them run off a 12 volt and the other runs off 120 that steps it down to 12. But the configurations are very different. So I've got to run a line out for the 12 volt. I already have a line in place for the 120 with an extension cord going up to it. So I'll be attaching a box to the solar panel and probably running the line up and to the mount point so that it doesn't have any extra weight being brought on it by the extension cord. In other words, the box will be at the bottom of the 4-panel system, and the extension cord will loop down so that it's got drip, goes down from there, and it'll go up the panel and down the pillar that's holding the panel up so that there's no extra weight being added really by the cable, except just the cable itself, not any hanging stuff. The box that I'm using there is a pre-built box, meaning it's got the places already set up with the rubber on them so that you open the box up, put your wires in there. When you close the box up, it presses them into the rubber, and that's where the seal comes from. It's typically made for doing things like outdoor light displays. So it's made for holding up through snow and things like that. It won't be in snow because it'll be attached to the panel. But at the same time, the wires coming in are very small, coming in from the two sides. Now, the wires coming off of this one, this would typically be something you would raise a desk with. All right, it's rated for a certain weather exposure. I've got some protections that I made out of 3D printing that I wrapped around the motors so that the motors have a little extra protection. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to take it down for the winter or not. I might leave it up and just see how it goes for the winter. But it's two very long, and that's why it was hard to find. They're two very long posts that go up. So if you think about it from a desk standpoint, these would basically go from the floor to where the desk would normally be. That's how long these are. And then they extend out from there. Obviously, you have to have a long shaft in order for these to extend down, because the entire bar that you're pushing with has to fit within the base. So they've got that extra distance to them. Should work good for the 4-panel setup. And again, it's a 120 volt system. It has these very odd little 1 pin and a flat plug. So it's a 1 pin and a flat on it. And it locks into the other one, and it's got a little thing to clip over it. I think I'm going to use the compression tape that I found for the plumbing to keep that dry, and wrap that around there too, just to be on the safe side. I'm not sure if I'm going to go to the extent of putting something around the wires themselves. I think I'm going to have to. I'm just not sure what I'm going to use yet for that part of the process. I'm almost tempted to put a shrink wrap over it, something that could just wrap around it and then heat to seal to it, something along those lines. But the compression tape that I'll be using sticks to itself, doesn't stick to anything else. So you wrap it around what you're doing and it holds to itself, but you got to be able to pull it tight, stretch it a little bit. It's that stretching that helps it stick to itself. So that's what I'm doing for that one. For the other one, I've got a traditional outdoor box like what you would see for a controller, the on and off for your solar system, for example. Those are sealed boxes, so I've got the glands for those. Gland is such a weird term for them. Basically what it is you drill a hole into the box, screw this in place, and the other end of it unscrews and has a rubber gasket inside it. So when you run the wire in, then you screw this thing back in place, that rubber gasket grips onto the wires and holds it in place. For the front ones, I have 2 bare wires basically that come out of these units, and this will be able to be mounted to the porch itself. The difference between the two is the big panel I'm pushing away from the building by the unit being attached to the solar panels itself and pushing itself off from the deck. For the other panel that I've got, it goes the other way around. So the bottoms are pushing against the panel and raising the panel up. That means for that one, I can actually mount it to the deck because the bottom parts aren't moving. For the other one, it has to be mounted to the panel because they'll be moving with the panel. I think that's going to work out better for that unit because of its lower weathering capability. For the other pair that I've got out there, which could be flipped if I find a need for them, but I don't think I'm going to, It's made for more weathering, so I have less worry about both the motors and the shaft getting clogged up. And of course, every year when I bring them back down or when I go out to move them, I can put some lubricant on there to make sure that so as I'm bringing it back down, put some lubricant on the shaft so the shaft takes that lubricant back inside. Both of them are remote controlled, which is pretty cool. The one has a controller that looks like something you'd find at an old Radio Shack. A little box with some buttons on it. That runs the one unit, and that also has switches on it, so I could actually go out and bring it up and down directly from there. That's the 12-volt unit that I've got to figure out how I'm going to run a line out to that one yet. The other unit has a thing that looks like a little key fob that raises and lowers that. Now, again, it's great that I can do that from inside, especially when it becomes bad weather, because I could bring them both down or I could push them both up depending on which is going to work better for the weather conditions coming. I think in both cases, probably down as far as they can go is going to be better off, but I could do that internally. But the problem is knowing where they go back up to. All right, so as the year goes on and I have to change the angle of those panels, I have to go out and put a level on it, digital level, to tell me what the slope is on it. It'd be nice if I could do that from inside, but I haven't quite figured out how I could do that yet. But we should be able to get those up and out this weekend. And then I'm hoping that I'll be able to manipulate the hot water tank. I think it was a 40-gallon tank. And it's got years and years and years of sediment and buildup in it. That's what happened to our old water tank, was that sediment just built up in there so that you weren't getting water out. I think that's what happened with this one and why it was hard for me to drain. When it came out in a burst. So I think it was just something in the way, and it just gave and took that out. But that probably means there's more sediment in there as well. So I'll have to slap that up on the hand truck and haul that outside. But those are the big projects going on so far. I have not gotten around to putting the tracking solar system up yet, or getting the hole or any of that stuff done. Nor have I gotten back to handling the roof over the car shelter. Not sure when I'm going to be able to get to either of those. I would like to get the car shelter done at least before winter. It won't be the full thing. I'll be just putting a framework underneath to help it so that the tarp doesn't dip in as much as it normally would. The way the car shelter is built, there's it's basically like an A-frame type inside. It's got a bit of a curve to it, but there's gaps between each of the posts and no supports going from post 1 to post 2. So you have an area in the middle. When snow gets on it, it pushes in, and that's what helped do in the other tarp. As long as it's pulled tight, it helps for a while, but all that weight starts to build up on it, starts to fray at the material, and the material gives. What I want to do with the car shelter is I would like to get, you've seen metal roofing. They make a plastic version of it too that's clear. They make it in colors as well too, but I want a clear set. I want to put a framework on the roof, at least like I said, for this year, so the tarp has something to rest on. Then I want to take the tarp off, and I want to put in this plastic corrugated roofing is basically what it is, because that plastic will protect the car and everything inside. It will be rigid so that everything can slide off of it, but it'll be lit, right? There'll be light coming in because of the fact that these are clear tiles. Now, what's going to be a problem at that point is the sides. I'm going to have to come up with some way to put sides up on the structure, right? Right now, the tarp goes all the way over and goes down to the ground on both sides, so that I've got it sealed on both sides, plus the old tarp, the old structure is still in place in a lot of places. Once I take the top off, the top was what held everything in place. So I'm going to have to come up with a way of redoing the sides, One way to do it, of course, would be to get some tarping material and put new grommets in and attach that to the structure, and that'll take care of the sidewalls with this clear stuff on top. So that's something I can do for that. Make it, I don't want it to be a permanent structure, but at the same time, it's going to be semi-permanent for a while, just because that's what I've got to do for now. But that's what I got for you guys this week, and I will talk to you all next week.